You must hear what God has done. God has done something unspeakably wondrous. He's done it thousands of years ago. There is a spirit of prophecy active in the scriptures, and it has a testimony, and you must hear that. Elijah's name has the spirit of prophecy. The first name, Eli, ties with the name of God given in Genesis 1. It means God who is the creator that is mighty to turn and twist. In other words, the one that's got the might to turn and twist, Eli, is Yahweh. He is the one who is. First time we meet that name in Genesis 2, it is spoken of him that he is the one who breathed out his breath to give life. And being the one that he is, he lives. And it is fulfilled in Jesus. Jesus is the one that has the might to turn. Remember, it was dark on the face of the earth while Jesus was hanging on the cross. It was the time when he breathed out, remember? And that was the time when the darkness disappeared. He turned the darkness. Thus the one with the might to turn the darkness is the one that's breathed out his breath. And by doing that, the darkness was gone, having the might to turn. And because he is the one that is, he rose. It's frighteningly wondrous, and that is prophesied in the hideouts of Elijah. And that first hideout, we find that he had to go to the brook. Brook's name ties with cutting. He had to go to the brook of cutting and drink it. Jesus had to drink the full cup of death, of being cut off from life, just like Daniel said he would. He was fed, kept in by the darkness. He was fed by ravens. Raven ties with duskiness, moving towards evening, darkening. Ravens are blackbirds. In other words, it is the darkening, the moving towards evening that ties to death, that was commanded, that was set in order by God to feed. And the root there ties with to keep in him. Jesus hung in darkness, being kept in by the darkness, the death in the spiritual meaning thereof, on the cross. Upon drinking that cup, right? Upon drinking the fullness of the cutting and hanging there in the darkness, fed by the raven, hanging on the cross in darkness, then came the time of 3, the time of breathing out, the time of taking the full fervor of the wrath of God and staying in death for an appointed time. Thus he was sent to be housed by the woman, because of prophecy that God placed in the woman, because it goes to the fire. The woman, the Isha, ties with Isha, the fire bride. The woman, the first woman in the Bible is not Eve, she's Isha. Right? It ties with the fire bride. It is the fiery justice and wrath of God that God has sing, Song of Solomon. It is the fiery justice and wrath of God that yearns for the groom that is the suitable helper. And it is the woman that Elijah was sent to, because of the prophecy that God placed in the woman. Because of the prophecy in the woman. He was sent to the widow. He was sent to the togetherness of fire in the house of desolation. That is, in a particular town, that place that's called the refinery, the smelting place. Jesus had to, upon him drinking the cup of cutting, he had to go into the smelting. He had to take the full fervor of the wrath of God in the house of desolation and being silenced. The meanings in the root word that ties with the widow house. God has appointed and set in place that for him. He had to be housed by this woman, that Isha, that togetherness of fire. He had to take the death verdict. He was anointed to die and be put to silence in that place of desolation. And it had to contain him. And he asked her to bring him a little water. Little ties with diminishing, making small, bringing to nothing, and water in Hebrew ties with wasting. So he says to the fire, bring me the diminishing and wasting. Words, let me be wasted away. Bring me a morsel of bread in thy hand. Morsel ties with a breaking. It's like a crumb, a breaking. So bring me a breaking of bread. Bread in the Hebrew, in lacham, we find ties with a battle, right? So bring me the breaking of battle, which is in your hand, which ties with power. So in the fulfillment, the prophecy that is happening there in Elijah, remember Elijah means God having the might to turn and twist, is Yahweh, the one that breathes out his breath to give life. It's Jesus' death testimony. Is going, after drinking that cup in darkness, Jesus hanging on the cross dying, is now going to the house of the togetherness of fire. And she is assembling their fastening. She's assembling sticks. And he says to her, she must bring him what is in her hand, the breaking battle and the making small wasting. Jesus' death to give the light did not end until was fulfilled the business, the word of Eliyahu, God who is God. God has got the might to turn and twist, who is the one that is and breathes out his breath and yet is. Jesus' deathbed and crucifixion is prophesied in the hideouts of Elijah, and it's by that God's salvation can be sung. Do not search for Elijah in the time of the great deception amid those that don't know who he is. Praise God for opening his word in a time such as this, and hold fast to what you have. The oil of his name is whereby you live. Stay true.